And I hope that their first child be a masculine child.
Erik.
Yes.
Welcome back.
Thank you. On sudden notice. Sudden but
40 minutes after you're thinking jerk off.
Yeah, well.
I haven't today, so.
Well, there's still time. Still work
there
hours.
Is still time. Oh yeah, I mean, there's plenty of time to beat it on the clock.
It's like
off the clock.
To Jack's employer. Like that's the.
Is that up there with like pooping on the clock? Like you should always masturbate on the clock.
Well, yeah, but I think it's even worse than when you mention that. I feel like it's considered differently.
Oh, this is my lunchtime.
And if you're
my lunch is mine. There's nothing in the employee handbook that says I can't masturbate during lunch.
Yeah, all right. Sponsored by Jackson's.
Sponsored by Hims. So, where we left off last time was me spending a lot of time talking about fantasy novels from the 1930s. Lots of time talking about Lord of the Rings. A lot of time talking about Hercules as well. Some time talking about cinema, TV, music, games, places where I find good examples of the opposite of bad masculinity, toxic masculinity, whatever you want to call it. And that took an hour, which surprised me.
Did it? Did it surprise you?
It did. It did take me by surprise, I must say, when I found out yesterday that I heard it through the grapevine. No, don't want to get copyright struck by Motown.
Self-awareness, Jim. Yeah, Jesus.
So we are back again. Hello, friend. Because you're going to talk to us now about where you find good examples of masculinity in media. And we're doing this one specifically because people whine that there isn't there's a specific segment on Fox News I saw where like, no one wants to watch this woke media. We need men's stuff. And they're talking about movies that made like $2 billion worldwide on a $500,000 budget. So it's like, I think these movies are I think everyone wants to see these movies because they did. So
right, except for me. Yeah. A little been out of touch.
Have you seen the Disney movie where like all the different feelings are personified inside the person's head?
Oh, well, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
That's the one they're talking about.
It was only made for was that really? That was a good one. That's been years. Yeah, it's been like I didn't see the second one.
The second one is when the second one came out. It made like $1.5 billion. It's like I don't think there's a problem with this. I think you guys are just whining because you're conservatives, and that's literally all you do.
And repressing.
And for the listener, I am not drinking a giant glass of piss. This is just tea.
I mean,
but
that's red. I feel like if it was, or at least in the screen, the way you're filtered.
If you want to pretend it's piss because that's what helps you, that's fine with me.
No, it was actually concerning. Hold that up again. Do you have like a red light filter or just a red on your... Yeah, because that just looks like a bloody... That looks like you got your kidneys knocked in.
This is like you had nothing but 151 for 3 days piss.
I was like, Gunny'd be real pissed if he saw that like coming out of you.
I have pissed this color before, but it was not fun. I was very dehydrated.
Yeah, I was going to say, get in trouble for that one.
Yeah. But anyways, Erik, this is your turn. This is your time. I do my best not to interrupt you, but I can't make promises because I am prone to ranting. And you just let me go. But yeah, your turn, buddy. Where do you find good, positive examples of masculinity in media?
Well, thank you. We are recording this a while after the last one, so
they don't know that. I think it's been a week.
I think you already referred to that earlier. You said we're back.
They don't know that.
Okay, whatever. Then cut that. But okay, so mine. Not to be pretentious or anything, Jack, but I think mine are maybe a little bit like more literary, except for J.R. Tolkien.
That's fine.
I definitely agree with. I do like pop culture, but I have been out of touch on a lot of that for a while. Anyways, okay, I'll start with literature. And did you know what is George Orwell's actual name is?
I've heard it, but I don't recall what it is.
Eric.
Ah.
Yeah. But he spelled it with a C, so like, could have been better.
Why?
Yeah, but Eric Blair. I guess let's get a little background about him first. he actually, after boarding school, I don't think he spent any time at university. He was at, I believe it was Eton instead of Harrow. Correct me on that, listeners, if I'm wrong, on scholarship. And he afterwards decided to join like civil service, took civil service exams instead of university because his dad had been in the Indian civil service. I think he was actually like something with the opium trade, like a tax inspector on opium or something along those lines. But family didn't have much money, so he was kind of that British class of, okay, you're like upper middle class, even though you're broke because we don't even actually care about the money that much. But he decided to somewhat follow in those footsteps and ended up actually in the Imperial Indian Police. So he was a police officer in Burma. So there's a recent book, and that's where, like, if you've read any of his early works, like Shooting an Elephant or any of those stories, come from. So Paul Theroux's latest novel is called Burma Sahib. And Masab, S-A-H-I-B, is kind of like this term that the natives of India called their white overlords, right? And it follows, and it's a fictionalized biography of it. So it's a fictionalized account of his time there, but still quite accurate, and just goes through and shows you how really his opinions towards imperialism and colonialism and really authoritarianism, because of course, like, you know, the Raj was not a particularly democratic institution over there, and a rather violent one oftentimes. And just the development of his philosophy, because he's a real bookish guy. You know, I guess what we would definitely call neurodivergent nowadays. Getting put in with, imagine like these kind of jock bro frat guy types in the Imperial Police, very heavy masculine, like stereotypical masculine environment, right? Like heavy drinking, going to the whores.
Well, British.
Yeah. So, you know, that type of like, raw, let's do some anal chugging kind
I'm pretty sure British feminists are shithoused 24/7. They are British.
It's part of their culture. But drinking, gambling, polo, hunting, all these more masculine pursuits, because the Imperial Police were really military an organization. They even wore like same uniforms, structured the same. And so even like junior officers in the police really were more in like an oversight role of a lot of like the locals.
I wonder, just some neurons firing off and connecting. I wonder if that's where Heinlein got the idea for like the police and the military to have the exact same like ribbons and shit in Starship Troopers.
Yeah, I mean, it may because...
Might be.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, because, with any, that was a sort of a... wasn't really
Heinlein never met an authoritarian state that he didn't salivate.
I was going to say, I was like trying to think of the best way to describe the civilization, like in Starship Troopers, the book. But yeah, I mean, so they were considered, there was like a lot of overlap there. And a lot of the same, even a worse mindset, I would say, because, you know, Imperial Police were really almost had racism like drilled into them, right? And enforcing local rule.
Cops.
Yeah. But whereas the British Indian Army, you know, the officers had to learn the local language of their regiments, and they were really the protection of India. I mean, if you want to call that, like up on the northwest frontier or putting things down. But the point is they were heavily staffed by the locals. They were more ingrained in the local culture. Indians saw in certain ways, there was almost more of a family business, right? Being in these regiments, there's honor in it. Whereas the police are just like, okay, fuck these guys. So it really charts a path through, look, you know, there's going to be times in life where you end up in these environments where you just don't fit, where everything around you is wrong, really, right? And then having definitely the courage, but also I'd say the like grit to kind of survive, not fully embracing that or going against the tide, even when you're kind of stuck in those environments for quite some time, and not taking the easy way and just succumbing to it, right? And things were pretty miserable. That's why they actually sent him to an absolute backwater in Burma, because they're like, God, this guy's like a buzzkill, so let's just ship him down the Delta, and nobody else wants to be there. So I picked that one as a kind of courage to be. It's a man that was not the traditional, especially at the time, sort of masculine, was not in the masculine image of the time, in a very highly masculine job and role, who then went against that opened his mind, became completely against what he saw there in the institution that he was a part of, and became one of the world's like most famous writers. Right.
And then he went on to fight fascists in Spain.
Yeah, I was about to say,
he did way cooler shit after this when he was murdering fascists for, not even murder. They had it coming.
Yeah, well, it's like, you read homage to
doing the world favors in Spain.
All right. That's what I was saying. I'm writing homage to Catalonia. Is like, I don't think anybody, if you just mentioned George Orwell, be like, hey, do you think he's a man? Do you think he's a masculine dude? And yes.
I think he's killed more people than me, and all those people were fascists. So, yeah. I'd call him a man. That's the funny thing is like he's not the masculine ideal. I'm like, are we talking about the same George Orwell? I've read his service record. It is insane.
Yeah, but he was.
It's cool people who did cool stuff has either a 2 or a 3 port, and it was fantastic. He's clearly not like a unproblematic person because no one who lives through the things that he did is going to walk away perfect. But I mean, he's pretty rad.
Yeah.
So
he turned out fine. So excellent read. If you've got a list, well, I know you're more of a podcast guy. I'm sure there's an audiobook version. And
I read books at night, like before I go to bed. I read at least 5 minutes, but usually for an hour.
Yeah, well, it used to be like I just go hours like reading, and now I feel like my stamina, has decreased there. But
actually, we should probably cover this sometime when we're talking about how to like deprogram yourself from all of the horrors of the modern world. Was that like I had issues with not being able to like focus and using a lot of social media at night and all that. And I felt that was detrimental to my mental health. And so I like purposely last year around August, so July or August, like purposely I uninstalled TikTok and I just don't open Instagram or anything else after like 9 o'clock, and then started reading on one of my iPads, specifically reading books, like not Reddit, not anything else, just like reading books that I buy. And so it was horrible at first. I hated it. So I had to like trick myself into doing it by being a series of books that I knew I would want to read. And so I started with Dune. I read all 6 Dune books.
I was about to say, was it? Yeah.
I read all 6 Dune books, and then The Dispossessed, which is fantastic. If you like old sci-fi, it's kind of cool to read 2 people from the same period that write so differently, because Ursula K. Le Guin is a contemporary of Frank Herbert's. And then now I'm on Guards by Terry Pratchett. I needed some whimsy after reading about the horrors of humanity and then the horrors of states and oppressive systems, and now I'm reading about dragons.
If you read Burma Stop, they're back to oppressive systems, but even more depressing because it was real.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, so I'm sticking actually with the British imperialist theme going into cinema for my next one. And I was questioning using this because I think a different message can be taken from it. But I was like, maybe this is good for conversation. I went with Feversham from The Four Feathers. It was originally a book. I've heard it's mediocre, so I didn't read it. Not going to lie. You may have seen the quote unquote recent to us, I think it was early 2000s version with Heath Ledger in there.
Yeah.
And Wes
That's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah. And Wes Bentley. I actually recommend, that's a decent watch, but it was a product of its time. I highly, highly recommend to listeners, be a bit of a nerd here, but in the 1939 version, you might hear 1939 and be like, but it was actually filmed in color. It wasn't like colorized later. And those
before the Hays Code? That was before the Hays Code, right?
Yeah, because that's what.
Yeah, movies didn't start sucking until after the Hays Code. Before the Hays Code, movies were awesome. Doesn't matter how old they are.
Well, and it's just the early color, like photographs and film, is like especially vivid. I'm not a photographer and don't know the exact reasons for that, but
all the reasons it's vivid probably caused horrible cancers.
Probably there, and just having those people out in the desert. But what I also appreciate about that is they actually found a warehouse where there was a ton of uniforms that hadn't been used, but they're actually made for the expedition to the Sudan when it's set. In 1898. So it actually, and I am huge on this, that so many movies get uniforms incorrect, but
sometimes there's a reason for that, especially with American uniforms.
Well, I know with you talking the modern military uniforms and stuff. Yeah. Well, I'm talking historical ones, or at the Patriot and stuff like that. But, or that's also a way to tell if something's AI slop because they never get the uniforms right, regardless of time period. So anyways, watch the 1939 version. It's excellent. But I picked this because it's also that from a courage perspective, but this is like also a courage without recognition, right? And I want to start though with the feathers, because this is where I'm like, the wrong message could be taken from this, right? When women, they did this even in the First World War, like afterwards would give men that they thought were being cowards, like a white feather. And so it launched, he received 4 after he resigned his commission from his regiment before they deployed. He didn't want to serve over there, didn't want to go. Reasonable fear, plus if you have objections to certain things. And one of them was from his fiance. And so you could take the easy thing of like, oh, well, women like shamed him into doing it. Women like sending men off to war and all this. And I'm like, addressing that first, it's like,
it probably has more to do with nationalism.
Yeah. Nationalism and the fact that, like, men created these conflicts, but men also, a patriarchal society is also influencing, like, the behavior of women, right?
Oh, absolutely. And, it tells them what's acceptable for them to do, and then encourages them towards it. And the ones who are trying to protect their position within it, at least they be degraded even further down, will obey that to whatever end.
And you can control other men if men at the top.
Now we just call them pick-me-ass bitches and move along. But
it's like, if men at the top want to control men lower down, right? And I think this has parallels to today, because clearly they're always pitting the classes against each other, right? They're pitting the races against each other. But I think, in recent years, we've really seen.
If we all got together on one side, we realize, it's these 100 billionaires that are the problem. Well, we can just do redacted things to end that problem. Real quick.
Okay. The harder one is now, there's been a pitting of the genders against each other, right? I mean, mostly in those younger than us, but it seems like...
Which makes no sense to me at all, because we made a lot of progress over the time when you and I were coming up, like, as a society, when suddenly it just all falls apart, and it's just like, again, this goes back to, what the fuck are these dumb kids doing? I don't understand, Erik. Make it make sense. What's wrong with these stupid young men?
And I think we talked about this earlier, too, right? Though, is like, okay, on the surface,
I don't think all of you are doing stupid things, so I call you stupid. Please keep listening.
Jack's doing that. Usually I have to be like, well, Jack, all right, let's be fair. But I think we talked about last time, like, we're on the surface level, right? When we were coming up, so like 90s, early 2000s and stuff seemed to be a better time for men. And I would say
it wasn't.
Yeah, it was definitely a worse time for women and other races and sexualities and all this stuff wrong. But it wasn't great for us either. Like,
remarkably better between like 2010 and like up to 2020. Like that 10 years was like everyone just kind of said, we can just let people be people and not give a fuck about the differences. It seemed like.
I think was the real shift. Like that energy when I know you was like, I'm a leftist, not a liberal, Obama drones.
Oh no, at the time I was a diehard Republican.
I was like transitioning into my true Democrat self.
Let's see. Oh wait. Yeah. So for that one, I definitely did not vote for Obama because I was a member of the Tea Party at the time. Because I used to be I was a stupid man.
You're a reformed libertarian. It's like they really go one of two ways. Like at least you went
man. It's such a weird political journey. We'll have to talk about it more sometime because it was like, it used to be like hard neocon, like George Bush. Then this is all bullshit.
Iraq and Afghanistan.
and came back. I was like, nope, libertarianism because the state is bullshit. And then I like paid just the smallest amount of attention to anything any libertarian said and tried to read Ayn Rand. And after about a third of Atlas Shrugged, I was just like, this is the stupidest bullshit I've ever heard in my life. I'm an independent now, but I was just like, still all big business. Jack Donaghy was a personal hero from 30 Rock.
Right into hell, Jack. It's like something if I did.
And then, I don't know, just like interfacing with the world and trying to like make it on my own and everything. It was like, no, this is all bullshit. It shouldn't be this hard. I'm actually trying. And I'm one of the people this whole thing was set up for. I'm a white man.
Even Jack Donaghy, that's like a surface level aspiration, right? Kind of like when they're looking back at our times. We're like, okay, it looks cool to be Jack Donaghy, but that dude, was like writing out heart attacks and stuff. Like, he was not having a great time.
The best episode is when like the three, when he's high, he's not high. He's there's a gas leak in the building. So he sees like versions of himself from the future and they all like get in a fight with each other and all end up having sex with each other. But yeah, like the most distant future one was like, oh no, guys, it's all bullshit. Just love each other.
Come on. That's like me when I go out to California and transform into my final form of like liberal, NIMBY, hippie. But yeah, that's what you used to say is like, we don't talk shit as much because we used to get punched in the mouth. And now you've got these people running their mouths, like even in public now to other people. And I've dealt with that with certain younger guys. Or when we play like younger teams and they're chirping way more than traditional rugby shit talking. It's like, dude, it's like, I really want to educate you right now, but as a 40-year-old, I really don't want to punch a 19-year-old in the face, but I also do, but I haven't.
Sometimes.
But I'm like, somebody needs to, man, but I feel like you guys need to police yourself on this shit.
Sometimes the best lessons are kinetic.
Actually, I like that one. Did you come up with that?
It's a variant of kinetic problem solver, which I picked up in the Marines.
Oh, okay. I like that one. I just throw that one away. But back to the feathers. So the thing is, like, a society that is patriarchal enough and hyper-masculine enough to even, like, influence the behavior of women in that way, which again is a manipulative strategy to get the lower level men to do what the higher level men want them to do, is not a healthy place for dudes. But addressing that, off the bat, so it's like the wrong message can be taken here, is if you remember anything about the film, I mean, he just goes to the Sudan, follows the regiment there, but goes undercover. This is like a local and has many struggles to like return these feathers. Because men actually, yes, so men gave the feathers to him, but really
I've never heard the men giving feathers. I thought it was just a women thing.
Yeah, because in World War I, it tended to be, but I think when this started, like in the later 1800s, men did as well, because the other officers...
That's just, it seems like it would be so easy to be like, okay, where did you serve? Why are you giving me this feather? This is a girl thing, and you're clearly not a girl unless there's some things I don't know about you.
Well,
we should go talk about that.
His friends, his fellow officers, like in the regiment that were deploying, right? So they were going, and he was like,
he's like walking around Trafalgar Square, and some guy is like, "Sir, you coward!
Let me pluck this from my cap."
Right.
I keep my feather cap around.
Is it a pimp?
yeah. You can see these big wives wanted to hoard these dudes out to, imperialist struggle. But granted, the body was pretty fucked up. So, like, this is like a black and white war over there. Well, yeah, brown and white. Sorry. Unintentional
dad joke there.
Yeah. But
we're talking about the British, so it can be, we can say it's British humor.
Fine. It's just banter. It's just banter, bro. But, no, so he doesn't go because he's afraid, and he gets called out on that. Proper or not. I think in the more recent movie, they made it seem a bit more like political objections, but it was like just genuinely being afraid, especially earlier on. And so there is a certain amount of courage in saying, hey, I don't want to go. I think there would be more, I would call it more courageous if it was political, but regardless, he fought his fears because...
You could also just not think that you were obligated to die for the state.
Yeah, well, I mean, if that was the reason. But I think they make it seem a bit more like that. And the more recent one, in the original stories, in the older films, it is a bit more about genuine fear and concern. Like, hey, the army's cool until, like, we actually have to go do army shit. Because the British Army is, like, pretty fun. They dress up real nice in their mess dress, get drunk all the time, like, be frat bros, basically. But then, hey, now it's time to go get shot at by people in another corner of the world who would actually cut your nuts off and shove them down your throat.
But we have the Maxim gun.
We have this. The army of the Mahdi was quite large, so there were casualties. And they had General Gordon, remember, they had taken Khartoum, so they had just killed big name Brits. So where was I with this? So he returns. He basically saves his friends in different scenarios, returns the feathers to them, kind of proves himself again. And I go through this as not like, people called you a coward, so, you should go to war and do all these things. What I'm saying this from is the sense that, like, everybody is afraid, right? Like, what is courage or bravery? And it's like, I know it's a little bit cliche nowadays. A lot of people have said it, but it's not the absence of fear, right? But I think it's a point that's, like, worth reinforcing.
No, the absence of fear is called stupidity.
Well, or just some kind of, like, psychopathy. But the point is, like, something in your brain is legitimately not working. Like, if you are not afraid. And that is extremely...
The discipline to overcome your fear is bravery. But you should absolutely be feeling it.
Yeah. And that's what I work with, like, the middle schoolers I coach, right? Like, especially at that age, 7th, 8th grade, that's a pretty harsh time for peer judgment. And it's like, but here's the thing, they're getting better on their skills and on the physical side, but like we still work on the mentality because, you know, they lose focus and, you know, they don't kind of know how to turn on that like controlled intensity. Doesn't even have to be aggression, but like it all focus, let's put it that way. And I try to give them little exercises on how they can like regain their focus. But it's like, look, guys, you have to admit that we need the baseline of like, stop pretending that you don't have nerves. Okay. Because everybody is nervous before a rugby game. You know, some maybe about getting injured. That for me, like something in my brain doesn't work too great where it's like, that's not really my worry. I recognize it could happen, but I'm worried about, you know, letting people down, right? Or playing poorly or looking stupid, you know, like dropping like the ball and the nerves never go away. So I'm like, no. You got to take that cortisol though and transfer that cortisol into focus because that's why procrastination works, right? Like people that are with ADD, like, you know, if you're not medicated, and this is why like a lot of patterns in my life made more sense when I found out, it was like, oh, that's why I have to stay hangry and like not eat during the day. Cause if I'm mad, then I'm focused like with the cortisol. But it's like, look, guys, you may as well learn to acknowledge them and learn how to work with them now because each level only gets more intense as you move up, more physical, and the nerves never go away.
One of the stupid things that annoys me about his cortisol spiked, or he's trying to maintain low cortisol, or any of the dumb shit you see around. I saw a wonderful meme the other day. All the shit with looks maxing is just Zoolander in real life. All these dumb children doing blue steel at each other that are whining about being stressed out. It's like, yeah, I mean, if you never learn how to deal with being stressed, you will always just blue screen as a human when you become stressed because you spend so much time trying to not have your cortisol spike or whatever dumb bullshit that you don't actually learn how to deal with stress and you are therefore a less capable person.
And isn't that just kind of being a coward? Like if something's
sounds like being a bitch.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was like, Jack will correct me if I say what I want to say now.
You walk into a room with a bunch of these idiots like Clavicular and this little blue steel crew of morons is like, it smells like bitch in here.
Pussy ass bitches in here. Like, I don't even call you a punk ass bitch. So I shouldn't say that for everyone listening but Jack said it first. So
I will.
I don't have to get educated. But no, it is, right? Like, okay, so
if you stop being a bitch, I'll stop calling you a bitch. That's just kind of how it works.
And if you live your life like trying to lower your cortisol instead of like utilizing your cortisol, like you are trying to, it's very cowardly to avoid being afraid, right?
You're never going to learn how to deal with being stressed out, which is like just part of life. Like it's part of dealing with like being an adult. That's why things are like, I don't like hard things, so I'm never going to do hard things. So I never learn how to do hard things. And then you're 30 or 40 and you're whining and about not having got anywhere. But it's like, well, did you do the hard things necessary to succeed? And I'm not even talking about like,
no, it's women. Women stopped me, Jack. They got promoted over me. Like,
yes,
that's where
because clearly the pinnacle of manhood is blaming all of your deficiencies on people who aren't you, especially women.
It's what the man wants of men. Like, that's what I'm talking about, like the control aspect, right?
Yep. It's what patriarchy demands.
Speaking of patriarchy, leads me to the ultimate patriarchy, right? In TV, have you seen the Young Pope?
Catholic Church?
Yes.
We are talking about the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else would it be?
I almost said the Eastern Orthodox, but because I think their leader actually called like the patriarch or something.
Yeah. That would be, and former KGB agent, the current Russian one. But
he's got a little bit of drip, though. I mean, I'm jealous of anyone who can grow a beard. Like, I'm scruffy today because I had a rough couple of days because my daughter's been not great. And I am sleepy because of it. And I haven't shaved, but I can't grow a beard for shit. And I am jealous of the patriarch's, both his beard game and I think having a big dumb watch is dumb and it's ridiculous, but I enjoy the image of like a church person who's got some bling. I have no idea why.
Well, if you like,
I enjoy a blinged out clergyman.
Okay,
and you were some of the few people who can wear a big dumb gold watch, and I won't just think less of you on general for just without knowing anything about you. I think less of this guy for many reasons related to many of the things he says about life, the universe, and everything. But I do enjoy that he wears a gigantic pimp watch.
Then you need to watch The Young Pope if you have not seen this, because first off, it's Jude Law, I've said before, I'm cursed with heterosexuality, but if he's a beautiful man. Say that.
He is.
And
it's going to be salivating the entire time.
Well, straight
my wife will have to sit there with a spritzer bottle and spray me occasionally.
It's and even if that's, if I don't have that same reaction, if I see a beauty, it's like anything of beauty, right? Where you're like, that's a beautiful woman. But you can also acknowledge, that's a beautiful dude. And Jude Law is
the difference is that
specimen.
I want to go do things with him, and you don't.
Yeah, exactly. But find beauty where you see it. Compliment your friends, too, if they're looking particularly beautiful. Looks maxing, they don't look beautiful. But, no, so...
Is that one from Australia that's actually bald? Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, well, so a big part of it, and a lot of people give up on this show, early on. But it transitions and is honestly at least the first season is probably my number one show.
And the show is not Conclave.
No, The Young Pope.
Because I get the two mixed up.
Yeah. Game before. But a big part of it is, so it's they think they're going to be electing this kind of young, he's American, and it kind of younger Pope, maybe different look for the future. But they also kind of, nobody really knows how he got elected. Oh, did you vote for him? I don't know. But he does. But it turns out he oh, I wonder what he's going to be like though, because we don't really know him that well. And he's a fairly recent cardinal. And he comes out and announces that his name will be Pius the 13th, because if you know, Pope naming, the meanings behind the names they choose is it's usually an indication of what their philosophy is going to be, right? And their approach. Because if you, Francis the First, he wasn't following. He did that, so he's not following a former pope's politics or theology or anything. He is identified with St. Francis. Well, do you know Pope Pius the 12th? Which one that was?
Was it one of the Crusades?
No, the so-called Nazi Pope.
Okay.
Yes. And
so he's a Nazi.
No, but they called this guy the Nazi Pope. He was a little Nazi adjacent, but he did also. There were some. It gets shady. His involvement in this question.
Eric. You're either a Nazi or you're not. There's no adjacent.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking though from a theological. I'm
if you see your best friend sitting at a table with a bunch of Nazis, your best friend's a Nazi.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I just didn't want to distract from the theological point of the fact that he was also very of course, conservative theologically.
You mean to tell me that conservatives and fascists are the same people?
Yeah. Oh, I know. Shocking, right? Shocking. But the point is, a Pius the 13th could be. That doesn't necessarily say that he's a Nazi, because Pius the 12th was basing a lot of his theology was off Pius the 11th, or Pius, right? The 11th. So now that you have Pius the 13th is a continuation of the line of the most conservative theology. And so he wants to bring back essentially it's make the church smaller, but more passionate. And he wants to bring back the beauty of it. So he has the papal tiara, brought back from, I think it was I think it's in DC. I'd have to see or which museum it's in. So there is a scene where he's very big on the bling. There's even one scene that's I'm sexy, I'm sexy and I know it. When he's being presented.
Oh, the bejeweled thing.
Yes.
Okay. I didn't know what the tiara was. I was imagining something like a Disney princess would wear.
Yeah, I know. No, giant.
It's the
dome.
giant. It's the thing that looks makes him look like he's one of the space balls.
Yeah. It's kind of a giant bejeweled beehive sort of thing. And he's carried in
gold-plated beehive.
Yes, all of this. And another tell of their style is so the Pope can wear 3 types of slippers. There's the white ones, there's the black ones, and then there are the velvet red ones, which of course are the most gorgeous. So our more recent Pope Benedict was the most recent to wear the red slippers.
The other Nazi Pope.
Yeah, did serve. I was just trying
Like,
not
he
to
was
offend like
actually
our
a
Catholic
Nazi.
listeners. That's why I'm like, okay, even Pius the 12th.
I mean,
12th,
I'm
not totally
kinda
proven.
Catholic.
Yeah.
Was it you that I was like, would I be half Catholic since I only did half the things?
Yeah, I was only
Maybe
baptized. I
somebody
didn't
else.
get first.
I got up to I did first communion. What is the one after that?
Confirmation.
Yeah, I didn't do confirmation. I got up to first. I did up through first communion.
I mean, my line. Yeah, I had to be baptized Catholic for the family on both sides. One's like mom's side's all Irish, so Then my dad's side, his like maternal line has been here. The first Catholics in America, with like Lord Baltimore, and then there's actually academic articles about how we're all shitheads and slave owners for hundreds of years. So
Catholics,
and the Catholic Church though does deny, like a lot of times they play down their involvement in the slave trade and slave ownership.
Of course they do, just like they play down, helping out the Nazis.
Yeah, but I'm like, oh, there's proof. You should read some family wills. Like I had on Ancestry, like there's a new document discovered. And I'm like, oh god damn it! Like we also had this book that has a lot of them in. I'm like, it's terrible. It's terrible.
The only Catholics I find remotely like, I'm like, yeah, I could hang with these guys. And I'm sorry if you're Catholic. No, I'm not. I'm not going to lie. No, the Jesuits, because they're predisposed to Marxism.
And their activities in like the 60s and 70s in Latin America.
Yeah. Mostly all that. I'm good with these guys.
And there's actually kind of like a subplot in the show, but a guy that was like his friend that he had grown up with did a lot of like Latin America tied in there, but gets on the wrong side of certain groups. But no, so you really think that it's about the strongest of patriarchy, right? An intense religion, and a lot of people are just like, or a lot of people will stop watching if they are Catholic because they think it's just like a huge dig on the Catholic Church, right? But there's an underlying, and I don't give away the end, but there is an underlying kind of maybe kind of saying like, is there something else going on here? How did this happen? Why is he here? He was born to hippies that left him in an orphanage. So he grew up in a Catholic orphanage. And the last 3 episodes of the show are
that you would grow up in a Catholic orphanage and then want to be a member of the clergy is the most unbelievable part of this.
Well, that's why his like nun. Oh, played by, is it Diane Lane? I forget. Listen, mixing up is fantastic, but it was like run by nuns. So I mean, but still, they'll beat the shit out of you.
That's not better.
Like, but she's a cool basketball playing nun. Yeah, like young nun.
She's still going to whip the shit out of you with a ruler.
That's also why I didn't go to Catholic schools, because my parents, spent their entire school life. And I'm like, okay, well, it's not a bunch of drunk nuns anymore, but.
I heard a lot about it from my mom and my grandma, but I never did.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the stories of like getting smacked around.
I don't think my mom went to a Catholic school. I think she maybe had friends who did, but I know my grandma certainly did.
Yeah, both my parents did. And other Catholic tie-ins, I've said how wicked my grandmother was, but she was good friends with Phyllis Schlafly, because they worked together at their Catholic church. They were like good friends. They ran the same kind of like organization there for like 30 years. I don't know. But enough said on all that. But the last 3 episodes are genuinely like the best TV I've ever seen. And you do, of course, have the subplots about the sex abuse, everything else in the church and how things get dealt with. So I highly recommend watching it, because it shows a transition of, there's the strong image of masculinity or whatever, right? Like, and then and the patriarchy and how things should be. And then there is transition, right? There's like learning there, you can come out the other side of this. It starts with, he's all about appearance and power. But at the end, and he hides himself because he thinks the world shouldn't really see him, or he'll give like his talks like on the balcony at the Vatican, like facing away from the crowd, because he's all about the mystery, right, of it. And so, but then like
if J.J. Abrams was the Pope.
Oh yeah, like you will genuinely like appreciate this. But as it goes on, like I'd say, it shifts into masculinity being like the willingness to carry the burden of visibility, right? And making yourself not just vulnerable, but visible. And I think we've kind of talked about this before, as like, a way to help other men or especially young, it's like being visible, right, with that. Or like when I coach, I'm like, hey, guess what? I'm, I don't want to do the math, the multiplication, and how much older than you I am. Like, but we don't need to do that right now. But I will tell you that the nerves never go away, right? And I am afraid to before matches. And I'm telling you, like, these tips I'm giving you, I know you think I'm maybe like a little woo or hippie about this, but it's like, but I go through the same stuff that you guys do. Okay. And so I'm trying to tell you, like, yeah, you may tell me, oh, I'm not nervous. I'm not scared. I'm like, yeah, well, you're not very focused and you're joking around, which means you're trying to hide that, right? Like you're trying to run away from the cortisol instead of utilizing it. It's just
as much as I gripe about Heinlein and his fellation of fascism and authoritarianism, Starship Troopers routinely, like throughout the book, Rico talks about how he always gets the shakes before a drop, and he's just, like, everyone's just cool about it. Like, yeah, you should be scared. We're going to fight giant arachnids. It's okay.
Yeah, that's I would. That is one where I would take feathers for that, and I wouldn't go save my friends if we were fighting giant spiders. I can't even deal with small spiders.
I would see if
I'll be visible right now.
Humans for anything, but like, do you guys need a human for anything? I have no desire to fight you. You're going to easily murder me.
I don't want to be around them. No, like I'll be visible right now. I don't do spiders like that. My wife, she knows that. She's got to deal with the spiders if there is one.
I'm that way with stinging insects. So anything that stings, I'm like, nope. I run away, sometimes screaming.
You would not have liked the yellow jacket nest in the yard that I had to deal with.
No. I pay. The reason we have the pest control company we have is because they do not charge extra for the yellow jacket nests if we find one.
Problem is, then it does take a while. So yeah, then there's like Erik out there with that like foam spray, seeing like how I like in all of my thickest of clothing, like trying to arc that thing into the ground. So yeah, but that's understandable.
That's somebody else's problem.
Stinging insects, that's understandable. Mine's just like spiders are creepy as fuck. Like in my mind, like they're all like the most alien of creatures.
But they're the cute little fuzzy ones.
No. Like the way they move.
I would love to have a pet spider.
No. I think that's why I'm traumatized though, because I think I'm afraid of them because I'm traumatized because my second grade class, we had a tarantula and like you have to like feed it to like watch it kill stuff. I don't know.
Where I draw the line are camel spiders.
Oh, geez, yeah.
Like, nope, not dealing with that bullshit.
Even,
that and the huntsmans.
Yeah, did you have those? Yeah, in Iraq, right? Like,
I never had to deal with one, but like I heard lots about them enough that I'm like, I don't want to deal with this.
That's why I'd love to see the rainforest, but nope, because what are those spiders that like can shoot down birds? Like that's not
from
right.
Jumanji?
Yeah, well, whatever they're called. I've not researched them for obvious reasons, but like I'm like, yeah, that's not okay. That's absolutely not okay. No rainforest for me. No, so be visible about that. I won't go into like, but when I heard, I will just say this, like, was a few years ago when that guy like burned down that big house in Colorado and because he was trying to like kill a spider by like lighting, hairspray or something like on fire as a flamethrower. I'm like, look,
that should be permissible under his fire insurance policy.
I'm like,
oh, there's a spider. Well, I mean, who wouldn't?
Was it stupid? Yes. Do I understand it though? Like, yes, I do. I have done that to spiders, but like outside, like like they've got a web. But
I didn't do it, but I watched a guy cook a scorpion with a road flare once at Camp Pendleton. It's kind of arachnid.
Yeah, no, I'm not too keen on those either. But
then he ate it.
On spiders. Oh, well, that's nice.
It's actually more concerned about like what is that road flare off gassing that you just consumed? You're going to have horrible poops and maybe cancer later.
So you just wash it down with some crayons, I guess. Like that's just taking it to a different level.
Yeah.
But no, so yeah, it is about, and I think maybe that's a topic to dig into another time. But what visibility means, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And just acknowledge, like, shit. Oh, you're trying to avoid cortisol because we all have fucking cortisol, okay? And we all deal with like those fears and those anxieties. But
it's part of being human.
Yeah, and tying this together though is pushing through that. Like,
yeah,
and where courage comes from. So I was trying to kind of tie those together. I don't know about a song, but it's really that I was just feeling it's one that's kind of more about getting older and having nostalgia for the past. But that's not so much on masculinity versus just dealing with aging, but looking back on times that weren't necessarily so great. And that's why I try to have some more empathy for the younger men out there, because it's like, I look back now, I was like, oh, hey, college was the best time of my life. And objectively, it was pretty great. Like, or even your teenage years, like, there's things you look back on is where life seems simpler, right? Like, but you forget how fucking stressful and terrible a lot of that shit was in the moment. Or, I look back on my 20s and
we differ on this.
Oh, I know. As I was doing that, I'm like
my life did not become awesome until I was like 35.
Okay, but that's what I was like. That's why I didn't specifically call out like high school, but but for a lot. But the point is, you get older times do seem. I mean, you remember the good things, right? There are rose-colored glasses. Stress just changes, and that's what it's like. There's always stress. It just morphs, and it's gonna get worse. And if you don't learn how to deal with that, like, it's going to get way worse. So that's my spiel. And it's been a bit rambling, but
yeah. No, thanks, because it definitely covered areas outside. Like I lean hard towards fantasy and fiction and more diverse forms of stuff in terms of media than you do. So it's good, balances out well.
Well, mine
an alternative point of view from what I have.
Well, and they still are fiction, just in different forms. But once you start watching The Young Pope, you will like it. So I will
I'll definitely give it a try
at that. And I think to close out, even circling back to the Catholic Church a bit, is it does, I think, symbolize a lot of things that we've talked about. Where like these men are wearing, essentially they're wearing like dresses and capes and all of these like traditionally more feminine things, but it is beautiful, right? And they look pretty great, and they've made it like masculine.
That's one of the things that like you can and I may be full of shit here, but part of like the Protestant effect on America of so many of the early like cultural myths revolving around people who were like literally violently Protestant relates to how we view masculinity and manhood in like the deeper kind of like lizard brain portion of like the cultural identity, because Catholicism says that suffering is good and Protestantism says that pleasure is bad. And so there's this like, you can't be pretty because that's pleasurable and decadent, but the Catholic Church is like, no, you just might suffer occasionally, and don't be mad about suffering because that's fine. But be pretty all you want. Look at our gorgeous buildings and fine vestments and our room made entirely out of gold that the Vicar of Christ sits in. Like and I think it has a lot to do, especially with people like, adult converts Catholicism, like JD Vance, who clearly doesn't understand anything about Catholicism.
Yeah, it is.
With like,
relatively speaking, it is what could be considered liberal-ish theology in many ways, but
I mean, to a degree. But I mean,
it's an evolving theology. It has its conservative parts, but I'm just saying, yes, it's like he picks and chooses there's a reason why the Jesuits did what they did,
for sure. My complaints with JD Vance and his thoughts about Catholicism is clearly he doesn't understand who the Pope is, and that the representative of God on earth is right, no matter what JD Vance feels about the thing.
Because I think what's the aesthetics of power? Now I think about it. Sorry not to cut you off, but just it kind of comes to me. It's like that's why I think there's the attraction to this Nazi memorabilia, right? Or people really liking the uniforms. It's like honestly, there were been countries with far better.
I mean, Hugo Boss does a fine job.
Well, I won't go down that. He didn't design them. It was just one of the manufacturers of them, but he did design the uniforms.
But the obsession with aesthetics is part of it and I was listening to cool people who did cool stuff last night at the gym, and they were talking about this group of Dutch resistance fighters, and a lot of the people who were the original Dutch resistance were Jews. And so it was like, wow, I didn't plan this, but we're talking about Dutch resistance fighters who are Jews that were also weightlifters, and I'm lifting weights right now. And this is very meta, but there was a lot of talk in the episode about the requirement of aesthetics over really any type of substance in fascism, how fascists and conservatives want to feel good without doing the things necessary to actually have earned that goodness. And that's why ICE is having so much trouble with just existing, like the people who are in ICE who hate it, because they thought they're going to get to go and hurt weak brown people and feel strong, when in fact everyone hates them except for other fascists. And it was the same thing with the Nazis, where like if you make them feel bad about being fascists, which is basically to not kowtow to them in fear, and to not give in to any of what they're trying to accomplish, even if like you know you're going to get your ass kicked, you could still laugh at them because that will make them feel silly. Like there's this whole thing. There's a lot to be said about like the effects of silliness on authoritarianism, and how if you just like take away the fact, if you don't give into the fact that dire circumstances or not, like if you just don't allow them to feel in charge, even if you lose in that moment, over the long term, it negatively affects everything they do. One of the things that happened in several concentration camps is people would just like laugh and tell jokes on their way to the gas chamber, because like, you're going to kill me regardless, so I might as well laugh with my friends. And it really fucked with the guards to a degree. Like one time they just didn't gas anybody because they're like, this is not great. A lot of those people still died in the concentration camps. I was like, wait, when was later? That? I was like, yeah. I have to look up exactly when, but like, this is a thing that would happen where like, if you can take away the feeling of authority and power, if you can defang fascists through just making them feel like they're not as cool as they think they are by removing the aesthetic value that they have, because there's no real substance to it. It's all just an appearance, then it completely hobbles them. Now, like, institutional power still killed all those people, but in that moment, at that particular time, they didn't get gassed.
Well, the aesthetics are the easy way, right? Like that's why, like, people, they just feel like, look at the replica Nazi uniforms or something, or all the people that like collect all this Nazi stuff, like, and they say like, oh, I'm just interested in history. I'm like, all right, but do you have anything from anybody else besides Nazi Germany?
It's like, ooh, I am too. That's why I go to museums and read books.
Yes, but my bookshelf's not just Nazi books. But the point is they think like, okay, I put on this uniform, then that means I'll look powerful, right? Or I'll have power, and it's like.
No, it's a fucking Nazi.
It makes things work. But that's why, fascists need aesthetics. They need to have some like visible representation of power, because a lot of the people wearing them are fucking losers. Because
there is no substance. Yeah. It is literally all appearance.
Now, it's like they would have had power in the moment, like the concentration camps. Yeah, those guys do have power over life and death, but they still lost.
That's institutional power.
Yeah, it's institutional. Yeah.
I mean, in the same way that democracies have the same power to kill you. I mean, the capital punishment is legal in the United States. So, like, it's not... And we have concentration camps. We famously had them in World War II for people who looked too Asian. We didn't murder anyone there on purpose, to my knowledge, but like we still had them. So those are all artifacts of just institutional power. Whereas like the artifacts of fascist power is literally all just the appearance.
I'm surprised ICE doesn't have like, cooler uniform. Or who's the head of that has like that jacket that he wears, like that custom
fucking big cow.
Yeah, but it's because they also don't have the institutional power, right? And I think these guys get up there and they think they can just say stuff and make it happen. And they're trying to wreck our institutions because they don't have power over our
But there haven't been consequences.
Yeah. Well, but I'm just saying that it's like, but they still don't have full institutional power. Right. They're trying to think like, oh, okay, well, I'm here and I have this title. That means I can do whatever I want. And it's like, well, you're wrecking stuff. You've got more power than I would like you to have. Stop them. But
they murdered people in cold blood in the street, and no one has suffered any consequences. It seems like they have a lot of that institutional power wrapped up.
Well, they have this, but they don't have full institutional. That's what I'm saying, right? It isn't like the Catholic Church. It isn't the Pope, right? Or even Pope gets caught. I mean, look, there's schisms and stuff. Speaking of the Orthodox Church, right? But
you mean the heretics in the East?
Yes. And their beards and their wives. But
there's actually that podcast I sent you a couple weeks ago where we were talking about the tetrarchy. Originally set up, none of these 5 institutions were supposed to be more powerful than the other, but the Latins just kept on saying, well, we're the most important, right? For like 300 years. And everyone else is like, shut the fuck up, and didn't want to bother with them. But because no one challenged it, they're just like, all right, well, it's history now. We said we're important and we're the most important now.
But then Catholic countries would like invade them from inside the papal states and go smack down the Pope, right? Or hey, now we have our own Pope. The French.
Oh, and there's the Avignon.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. The French are like, well,
that's the one where like
we have our own pope now.
There were two popes, and all of Europe was excommunicated for like 2 years. Like it was like two Spider-Mans pointing at each other with papal bulls excommunicating the followers of the other pope. It's like, God, it's silly. I think I've mentioned this before, but the thing, I hate reality TV, like Real Housewives, can't stand it, but I absolutely love hearing about how bitchy the church and its various factions are from like 1,000 years ago. It's like
even
these guys
today,
were petty and bitchy in a way that but
yeah,
not
but back then.
Right,
it was,
but
yes.
the papal states there's no standing army in Rome, right? I mean, they have the Swiss Guard, but they're not marching on the kingdom of the Franks, right? So it's like back then when there was like actual like state power behind them and they could sway, like before the Peace of Westphalia, when they actually could intervene legally in the temporal matters of Europe. It's just like one of those things where like these people were so petty and bitchy in a way that I absolutely love, and I'm so glad I don't have to like feel the material effects of, because I would hate it to have to deal with that, but I love reading about it. It's like this is my Real Housewives, is reading and hearing about 1,000-year-old bitchy clergymen.
Dude, I would have thought, I've said before, in our text, I think we're texting about it. I'm like, I would have gone into the church back then, like, especially in the Renaissance.
I'm the second son, so I'd have to. I'm the second son and youngest of 6. There would be nothing left of the family, anything. I'd have to become a priest or join the Navy, which I kind of did. So,
but you kind of. Yeah, they're not purchasing you a commission or anything. But
God, the good old days when you could just like, here's $1,000. I'm a lieutenant now.
See, it was a bit more than that, but yes, it's like,
Well, $1,000 then, which is like 40,000 now.
Yeah, you could, the purchase of, I mean, and that's why like the army was British Army, especially like, well, most of the armies at the time were like great because they didn't really do much work. Like, okay, we had to do some shit in the morning, but then it was just like drinking and partying and gambling and hunting, basically doing nothing until they're like, okay, now it's time for you to go fight some tribesmen in the Northwest frontier.
Here's a Gatling gun. Take you and 100 of these inbred pasty assholes to somewhere else and kill all these people and take their land.
But before that, it's like,
if you find any Dutchmen there, make sure you murder them.
Well, I was going to say, it's being like the Dutch. It was like back when, okay, the tribal we were talking about, the imperial ones were after the purchase of commissions was abolished in Britain. But like before that, it's like sometimes, no, you got to go fight like France or the Dutch. And there were some ass kickings. And it's like, you want to take a musket ball to the gut? Like, shit's about to get real. I will say we can cut this part, but
I think it's good banter. There's probably some history stands out there who've been like, finally we're done talking about movies and talking about the good stuff.
Do you want to hear about the 7 Years' War? Like, I'll tell you that I am actually.
Which one? Aren't there like 3 different conflicts called that?
There's the 9 Years' War, but there's been the 30.
At least we had some panache about it in America and just named it on place names depending on which side you were rooting for, is what you call it. Like Bull Run versus Manassas or something like that?
Oh yeah, in the Civil War. I thought you were about to say the French and Indian War. I renamed it because I am reading right now, researching a lot on like New France, and so it's some academic books on like the seigneurial system, like the landowner system essentially. And then the Compagnies Franches de la Marine, which are also fascinating. The French colonial soldiers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I parlez-vous no français.
Je parle un peu français.
Buongiorno is about as close as I get to a Romance language.
Je m'appelle Eric. But anyways. No, and so sorry for another times. I'll tell you about this little teaser. I had been working on an artillery game that was like a little too complex technical. I mean, I could get to it, but it was like very intense, and I would have to like definitely pay some people to finish certain things. But I am working on done like a lot of RenPy scripting and stuff, so I am kind of working on like a
should do interactive simulator,
interactive like fiction set in the time of the 7 Years' War, and I think I'm going to move it over to New France as well, but. And if you pay, there will be the DLC where you can make them all gay too. I'll do it.
I was going to say, do you have to spend like 80% of the time just being shithoused and then trying to navigate your way through the text of a drunk French frontiersman.
Oh, I am working on the gambling mini games.
Because if there's one thing I know about the early, any colonial period up to America before we passed that law that got rid of alcohol for a decade, people were just constantly remarkably drunk.
Oh yeah, no,
all the damn time.
And like your wine budget and stuff, it gets a little complicated. It is a life sim too.
You have to navigate your way through a conversation tree of drunk French. is what this really should be.
That's actually, I could do that. There's the whole scenario, but it's also about like, the quality of like, okay, much you spending on like, your tailoring and stuff too, besides just your uniform. Like there's many facets to this.
You're just going out and killing all of the beavers you can to send them back to Paris.
Yeah. So this would be like a regular army regiment being set over there. We'll talk some more about it later, but it's, yes, a commission has been purchased.
Pre-order the game.
In the French army. Yeah, I don't know the name yet, but do it. It'll be beautiful.
It's called Parlez-vous Français, spelled phonetically like I just said it.
Je suis
say it like that.
American.
Je suis Napoleon is the only other French I know, only because Bender says it when he's in the Institute for Criminally Insane Robots in like season 2 of Futurama.
I guess it would be though. It's like, but if you're dressing, you're saying who you are. It's like, je m'appelle Napoleon. Je suis, I am Napoleon. I mean, yeah, if you're making the point of like, who am I? Yes.
He is very boisterously doing this in the background.
Yeah, yeah. And it's also probably part of the joke, too. Yeah. Anyway, sir.
Anyways, we have podded a cast. We have casted a pod. We have talked about things that we find to be masculine and manly in media. And so next time, we are wrapping up the first set of things that I wanted to get through before we branched off into the infinite diversity and diverse infinity of masculinity and where we find it, where we can talk about it, people who have opinions about it, all those things. And so the next episode is talking about a little bit about that. Where do we go from here? How do we see a path among the brambles and scrub of the iniquities of lesser men towards a more noble and valorous idea? It'll probably be a shorter episode, and I doubt it'll be 2 parts, but that's what we'll talk about next time.
Shorter after it's edited, not the length of the recording.
Right. So, anyways, love you, brother.
Love you, brother.
It's been fun.
Take care. Talk soon.
Yes.
Wish the best for your daughter. I hope she's feeling better soon.
Yeah. 3-year-olds being 3-year-olds.
Okay.
It was literally just crying about me walking down the stairs first, and then I opened the door instead of her, and then she dropped her pacifier, and it was yucky, and she wanted to stick a muddy pacifier in her mouth, and I said no, and then she heard a bird. And that was upsetting. And then I wouldn't let her drink her juice before she got in the car. She had to drink it afterwards. She got sat down. And then the music was either too loud or not loud enough when we were listening to the Lion King soundtrack. It's 3-year-old having a rough day.
I will direct some of the supportive thoughts to you then.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Namaste, brother.
All right. Bye.
Later.
Thank you for listening to Annoyed Masculinity. This has been an Annoyed Media production. Thoughts and ideas expressed during this episode should not be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. We are not therapists. We are just 2 guys bullshitting on the internet. Our opinions do not reflect the official positions or ideas of our employers or business partners. You can find more of our work on Substack, Instagram, and Blue Sky under @AnnoyedMasculinity. We hope you enjoyed the show, and remember to be awesome to one another.